comment about him before, and there's a little more I wanted to add to it. Attorney Kevin Winstorm is the biggest crook I've ever come across in my entire life. He's the most crooked, dishonest attorney that I have ever come across in my life. He's so dishonest, a habitual liar, deceitful, conniving. I hired him to do a couple things for me. First of all, to handle my mother's estate, of which my brother committed numerous serious crimes that any other person would have went to prison for. But my brother had a lot of money. Actually, the reason he had a lot of money is because he stole it from my children. When he was supposed to set up estates for my children, he pocketed the money. So he had hundreds of thousands of dollars to get a very high-profile attorney. So when I did my mother's estate, and I hired Kevin Winstorm. Why I hired Kevin Winstorm, I can't believe it. Now I need my head examined. I should have checked further into this man before I hired him. But not only did he take my money and not work for me, but he literally worked against me. He actually was on the side of my brother and my brother's lawyer. Why? I don't know. I ask myself that all the time. Had Mr. Winstorm just took my money and ran with it, I would have been better off. If he just stole my money, which I feel he did anyway, if he just stole my money and ran away with it and did nothing for me, I would have been much better off than what he did, because he did so much harm to me by representing me. He's a habitual liar, a con artist, manipulator. It's just beyond me how a pedophile, how a convicted pedophile, convicted of pedophilia, could even be an attorney. And I didn't find out he was a convicted sex offender until after I fired him and all the damage was done that couldn't be fixed. And I hired him for even another case at the same time that I hired him for my mother's estate. I hired him to handle another case for me, and he handled my some papers. I had bought a house on a land contract, and the house was faulty and it was no good, and I handled him to help me read through some papers and sign some papers on that, and he did more. He actually did the same thing he did with my mother's estate. He told me to sign papers that without telling me what I was signing. And let me say to anybody out there, and particularly to myself, never trust a lawyer. Never sign anything until you read it and fully understand it, and even get second opinions. Because what Mr. Winstorm did was exactly the mentality and the behavior of a child pedophile. When I first retained him and hired him, which he made a lot of money off me, by the way, to handle some cases for me, I told him that I have an attention deficit problem where I really don't fully understand what I read. I'll have to read something over and over, and I just don't get it. And that was the reason of hiring him in the first place. And I told him that. I told him I'm a very intelligent woman. I have a very high IQ, but I also have a learning disability where I don't understand what I read. It's called attention deficit. I have it, and I've had it all my life since I was a child. So I explained that to him, and what did he do? He took advantage of that. He played it. He took complete advantage of it. I asked myself many times after I fired him, and I asked him too, why did you work against me? Why did he take my money and literally work against me? And I couldn't understand why. And then when some family members found out that he was a convicted sex offender, a pedophile, that clicked. It made sense. what is a pedophile? What is a sex offender that preys on underage children? It's somebody who gains a child's trust, lures, cons them, gains their trust, manipulates them so that you can abuse them afterwards. And that's exactly what he did to me. No, I'm not a child, but I am on disability, and I do have a learning disability. And that's why I hired him. If I understood what I was signing, and if I understood what I was doing, I wouldn't have had any need for an attorney. So, what he did was he lured me in, manipulated me, perpetrated himself to be a very trustworthy person, and extremely trustworthy. I mean, he actually had me just like putty in his hands, where I trusted him so much that I would have signed anything he would have put in front of me, and I did. And it sealed my fate. It actually partially destroyed my life, my children's life, and my grandchildren's life, because of all the crimes that my brother committed pertaining to my mother's estate, and people that were involved in the estate, all the crimes that my brother committed. It almost cost one of my daughters her life, and actually it almost cost her life twice. And I'm not even gonna bother explaining that because it's so horrific, it's unbelievable. But Mr. Winstorm had me sign papers saying that Philip is relieved of all my brother is relieved of all crimes that he committed, and that neither I nor any of my family heirs will ever go after him for his crimes. And he had me sign a blank piece of paper, but on the other side of it, that's what was on it. And then he was so scandalous that he told me that he was having his secretary. He told me he needed me to come in and sign a paper, and he wasn't going to be there, but his secretary would be there. Come to find out, that wasn't even his secretary. That was merely a receptionist of the building. And he doesn't even have a secretary. He's his own secretary. And the lies he told. Yes, he is going to be reported to the Attorney Grievance Committee. And hopefully he may even be disbarred. How he ever, after being a convicted sex offender, how he ever was able to become a lawyer again is beyond me. But he has that same mentality of a sex offender, to prey on people that are vulnerable and easy prey to him, and victims such as me. And he preys on you, and he takes your money. He works against you. At least he did with me. And then he hurts you. He actually causes you hurt and harm. And that's exactly what a pedophile does. So even though, he's using his law degree to commit the same kind of crime he was committing when he was a sex offender, his victims may not be children, but who knows? Maybe there are some out there that still are. But his victims may not be children, but he's definitely taken advantage of people that are vulnerable and weak. So I just think that anybody that goes to Mr. Winstorm, beware of wolves in sheep's clothing, because that's exactly what he is. He's a wolf in sheep's clothing. He's sick. What he did to me was sick, because even if he just sat there and didn't say anything and didn't represent me, he wouldn't have caused the harm that he caused. But he deliberately went out of his way to have me sign papers that destroyed my chances of ever having justice for the crimes that were done against me or any of my family members. My landlord, the man I bought a house from on a land contract, committed crimes, and he actually went against me on that as well. And he had me sign things that weren't even true. Saying that I was delinquent in my payments. I've never been delinquent in a payment. I never missed a payment. In fact, the man I bought the house from told me that I was his favorite person because I was the only one that has never, ever missed a payment. Ever. And he had me sign papers saying that the reason I didn't want to buy the house because I was delinquent in my payments. I have stubs to prove every single payment I made for 7 years, and I never, ever, ever missed a payment. The reason I didn't want the house is because there was too much wrong with it. It was poorly built. But Mr. Winstorm is a crook, a liar, a con artist, and I think he needs some serious psychological counseling to take advantage of people the way he does. As I said once, and I say it again, he still has that same pedophile mentality. That's what his problem is. He's sick, and he preys on the vulnerable. And beware, don't let him take advantage of you like he did me. Thank you.